A deep change in the way that we live requires a deep change in the way that we think. I'm Carla Reeves, and this is Differently. Hey there, I'm so excited to share with you a very dear friend of mine today, Tim McCormick. Timmy, say hello.
Good morning, everyone. How are you, sunshine?
So good. So Tim has been a very long-standing friend. He is my husband's best friend from high school. And oh my gosh, Tim, you were on one of our very first dates at the Indy 500. And I have my marriage to thank for. Tim, you really, I think, saved our relationship in so many ways. And I know you know that.
Yeah, it's kind of a long but funny story, but yeah, I'm just thankful I was there.
So good. Well, I am so honored to have you on the show today, Tim. And you have been through quite a journey, my friend. It makes me quite emotional. But I'm excited to have you share your journey with the Differently listeners today. And so let's just go back, man. Take us back to the moment you knew something in your life needed to change.
Wow, that's a long time ago. And honestly, it started probably around 2001. I had indicated to Quentin that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Mm.
I was sick of running the rat race. And nothing seemed to ever go good. But yet I was in a place where I was drinking a lot and doing the wrong things all the time.
Mm.
And, it's the true definition of insanity, where keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But the good thing was you and your husband decided to send me to Landmark Forum.
Oh my gosh.
And so, remember?
I forgot about
Been a long
this,
time.
Tim. Holy moly.
So it dates way back, right? And by doing the course, I got really fired up and tried to continue what I had learned. And I made many breakthroughs, but none of them, I guess, were strong enough to put the alcohol aside and just get focused.
Mm.
And so the stuff that I learned, as with everything kind of in life, got put to the side again. And then I just continued the drinking and the doubtfulness that goes along with it.
Mm.
And it, I moved back to Memphis around 2004, and change of environment, but not change of behavior, continue to escalate. Good thing is I found Julie, my wife, and she was able to share in my struggles and give me hope.
Mm.
But truly, it wasn't until I started to have my hip problems, and I ended up having avascular necrosis, which is a bone disease. And it basically, there's no cartilage between your hip joints, so it's bone on bone. And when there's bone on bone, there's no blood flow between there to nourish your bones and keep them healthy. So necrosis is death, and it basically killed the bone in my socket and joint. And anyway, I had to have both my hips replaced probably about a year apart. But I was real heavy. I was
And what age were
probably
you at that time?
yeah, I was 40 when I had my hips replaced, and now I'm
So
just about to
young.
be 55.
Yeah.
So the doctor told me, wait as long as you can to have this done. You're so young, and the guarantee of the hips lasting longer than 15 to 20 years, it just wasn't there. So of course I'm going to have them done again in my lifetime. But regardless of that, we had the first hip done, but I waited and waited and waited, and man, I was in so much pain. I was on Percocets for pain. Um, and I was on them for months and months before even surgery because of the pain. But by the time we got into surgery, I couldn't get comfortable no matter what I did, even with the pain management stuff. So we went ahead and had surgery. And when we woke up, the doc looked at me and he said, what on earth? Why did you wait so long to have this done? And I told him, I said, you're the one that told me to wait as long as I could. I said, maybe you need to be more specific when you tell people to do something. Anyway, he said the whole top of my femur, the ball on my femur was gone, and that I just had like a stick in a cup for all intents and purposes.
Mm.
And anyway, I knew then I waited too long, but I did what I was told. Anyway, it was about a year later. I put on more weight. I was still immobile. I had the disease in both hips, and one was more severe than the other at the time. And so I waited about another year and had my right hip done. And when we went into that surgery, I was so heavy. I was 319 or 20 pounds. That when everything was a go, but when we got in there, the anesthesiologist went to put me out, and I was kind of twilight sleeping, and it was like all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and I'm wondering in my own mind while I'm kind of twilight sleeping, what on earth is going on? And anyway, all of a sudden I was able to breathe again. I thought, man, this is really weird. Something's going on. And then I remembered, I'm in surgery, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe again. I'm thinking, I'm trying to breathe through my nose, and my lungs they're not working. Like something's gagging me. And I guess it was probably 15, 20, 30 seconds went by, and all of a sudden I can breathe again. I'm like, man, this is the weirdest thing ever. So I just said a prayer, and it was no sooner the thoughts came out of my head, I was waking up from surgery. Excuse me.
It's good. It's okay. This is a powerful, powerful part of your story, man.
Man. So I was waking up, and I just thought, thank God. Anyway, when I was in recovery, everything had gone good. They got the hip replaced, and I was out of pain.
And what did the doctor say? Are you going to go there where the doctor said about that moment when you said the prayer? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When I woke up, I was, for the first time in like probably 3 years, I didn't have that broken bone feeling.
Wow.
So I
You've
get
lived
back
with
to
a
the
lot of
room.
pain for a while, my friend.
long time. But so I'm back in the room, and the surgeon comes in and he says, everything went okay and all that sort of stuff. And I said, man, you guys had problems. And he looked at me and with kind of a smirk, he said, yeah, he said, the anesthesiologist said you might remember something. He said, man, I got to tell you, he said, we had one heck of a time putting that tube down your throat so you could breathe during surgery, the intubation tube. He said, you have so much fat on the back of your neck that we couldn't get your neck back far enough. Anyway, he said, if you don't lose weight, I can't work on you anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just thought to myself, wow. They almost weren't able to do surgery because of how fat. Mm. So anyway, I was dealt with that, but I was so thankful that all of it was over finally. And so I had to digest everything he said and try to put some type of course of action together. And it all basically, I had to go through recuperation and all that from the hip surgery in order just to get my mind around the whole thought of trying to get on a healthy situation, Yeah. So I've since then I
Tim,
have gained and lost weight.
Go back for just a second, because when you told me that story, like the doctor told you that your head finally went back, like we think it was like right about the time you prayed, right?
Oh yeah.
That the head like just fell back and he was able to get the tube in. So I just wanted to tie that back.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I was getting all emotional, but basically, he said, we had problems putting the tube in your throat. And I said, man, I knew something was going on, but I couldn't figure out why I couldn't breathe and what all was going on. But I said, I did remember I was in surgery. And I just told the Lord, Lord, let whatever happen, that, your will is your will. And he said that, and it must have been that exact moment that all of a sudden your body went limp, your head went back.
Wow.
And we were able to do it.
So good. So you're recovering from surgery. I'm sure you're on lots of medications. So take us from there.
Oh yeah. So I was getting back on my feet and everything. And so you're only supposed to be on the pain medicine for so long after you have surgery. But anyway, when I went back to my regular doctor, they just continued filling the pain medicines. And so without thinking, I'm thinking they know what they're doing and that I need this medicine longer or whatever. Anyway, I kept taking them. And after 3 years of eating Percocets like they were candy because of the pain, I'm no longer in the pain, but I'm still getting these medicines and I'm still eating them. And anyway, I was hooked beyond belief on those things, to the point that I was, using well beyond what they were giving me, which was about 120 every 30 days. I'm spending money to get more off the street and everything else. And I mean, it's just going downhill. I'm still drinking. I've still got all this stuff going on, bad decisions. But anyway, it was 2018, 2019. Uh, I was really escalated in my drinking and all the pill taking and everything else. And I finally just, I was starting to drink on the job and stuff like that, and I just knew that it was escalated out of my control.
Mm.
And it was February 14th, 2019. I asked for help, and I went into a rehab locally, and I spent 30 days in there, and I felt good. I felt strong. I felt clear. Uh, but just getting out of there and getting back into my normal groove, it was almost like same old, I guess. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was the time of day. It was, um, 5 o'clock, whatever the hour was that I normally would consume. I had to battle those feelings every single day. And unfortunately, 30 days, in my opinion, is not long enough to get recovered. And so it wasn't a week later, I was drinking again and trying to hide it like, like nobody knew, they knew.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's just how naive and how addiction can manipulate your mind to where you think you're fooling everybody.
Like
And
justify it.
it's just so obvious to everybody that it's going on. Your behaviors, your mannerisms, they all change. You go right back into it. And I tried to fool myself again, for 5 weeks or whatever. I think it was, February to March 14 to 15. And then I went back in. I went back in April, and then got released right before my birthday, 2019. And I held on longer after that 30 days. But, it's just the wickedness of that stuff, and it's on every corner. You don't have to go find a dealer. It's legal. It, it is, I don't know. It's the most evil thing I think
Yeah.
I've ever encountered.
Wow. So it sounds like the journey like is back and forth and kind of up and down. What was the next big sort of pivot moment or shifting moment or catalyst that sent you on a new trajectory?
Well, I got out in May for my birthday, and then we continued on doing the same job and the same everything. Uh, I didn't last. I lasted maybe 4 months this time. And by November 24th, I was drinking and driving. I was drinking and driving at work. That was my job.
Mm.
I was making all the wrong decisions. I I literally, I knew that if I didn't stop, that I was going to kill somebody or myself.
Mm.
And thank God, I asked one more time to put all the shenanigans aside, all the lying, all the everything, all the manipulation that goes along with it. And I asked for help one more time, and we did it a different way. We kind of did like a outpatient almost type thing, where I was in a specific home with other alcoholics, and then we do schooling during the day or whatever. And I I don't know what was different about it, but I just don't think the first two times I was ready.
Mm.
And after that last time, uh, I knew I knew I was done with it. I don't know how, but I I took it so serious.
Mm. We've watched you. Yeah.
Now I defend my I defend my sobriety.
Say that again. You
I
defend it.
defend Yeah, I defend my sobriety now
What does that mean?
at all costs.
Like you
I
are protecting it is kind of what you're saying. Like it's become like a sacred thing, important thing that you are like actively protecting in your life. Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. What an incredible shift, Tim. So we talk a
But the
lot.
other thing,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing is, it was getting off of that juice that allowed me to wake up enough that I knew that stuff, it can be for some people, but it didn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I look back on it, and the longer I went without it, the more clear I became.
Mm.
And then, I was on Suboxone, and I was on all kinds of anxiety medicines, 3 different anxiety medicines, and depression medicine, and high blood pressure medicine, uh, triglyceride medicine. I was on 3 tranquilizers to go to sleep and stay asleep. And then I was on a CPAP machine, 2 different inhalers that I had to take daily, and just all kinds of stuff, right? So as I was waking up from the alcoholism, I started thinking, man, if that stuff had me that cloudy, what about the rest of this stuff?
Wow.
So I started thinking, well, man, I got to get off of the Suboxone that they had me on for the opiate addiction. And literally, it was harder to get off the medicine they put you on to get off the opiates than it was to get off the dadgum opiates. And that
Wow.
confused me. And so I'm out of rehab, and I'm having to go to it was an addiction medicine doctor, I guess is what you would say, but he never offered really to get me off of the Suboxone, and I just thought that was some kind of gimmick, like it was his gimmick to get me coming back every month.
Mm.
And so with me wanting to improve myself, I thought I've got to get off this Suboxone. And so I was on 2 whole strips, and then I started doing 1 strip and 3/4 of a strip a day. Then I went to a strip and a half, and then a strip and a quarter, and then down to 1 strip. I just kept marking it off. And so by the time I even had to put off going to see him because I had extra medicines. I still had a prescription of that. So I didn't really need him. But he's questioning me. So I go in and I'm like, hey, I've done really good, man. I've gotten off of most of the Suboxone stuff that you've had me on. And he almost chewed me out. And I thought, what is this? So he said, well, what do you mean you're getting off of it? You need my help to do that. And I thought, if you're an addiction doctor and somebody's putting down their addiction, why is he not cheering me and saying,
Yeah.
hey,
Why
man, that's
isn't that a
fantastic?
right?
Like,
Why isn't that a
I'm so proud of you,
celebration?
man. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he should be jumping up and down going, dude, you go, like you go, boy. But it was almost like he was mad at me for not including him on my journey. And I thought, you know what? You're no better than the drug dealer on the corner is kind of what I started
Wow.
thinking. I'm like, why are
Yeah.
you upset with me that I'm stopping taking the drugs you're giving me? And so I was like, look here, man. I said, I don't appreciate you kind of condoning me or getting on my butt about it. I said, you ought to be cheering me on and being celebratory. I said, I got a bad vibe about this. I said, you know what? You just go ahead and give me what you need to give me. I said, I'm taking a quarter of a strip a day now instead of 2 whole strips. I said, you give me enough to get off this stuff and we'll be done. And so he wrote me the prescription, and he did, like 16 strips, and normally there were 60 per prescription or what have you. But anyway, I got off of it. And so finally I'm like, thank God I'm done with that stuff. And I started really to feel better. I mean, like, you couldn't even imagine how much better I started feeling. I felt more awake, more alert. I felt more active. And then I'm thinking, all right, well, if this is getting better, what about these anxiety medicines they got me on? So I quit all 3 of them immediately, just cold turkey. I was like, we're done with this stuff, man. I got off of the anxiety medicine.
Yeah, keep going.
I woke up even more, and I'm thinking, hey, there's something to. Yeah, after getting off of the 3 anxiety medicines, man, when your family physician, when you first go to your family physician and you tell him all, like, I guess my wife was going to a family physician, and I said, I need to start going to him. And so after I got a rehab and stuff, I went to him with all these prescriptions. He's like, man, you're going to have to see your specialist. There's no way I can touch all these things. He started asking me, do you fall asleep at red lights? Do you fall asleep during work? Do you just fall asleep for knowing, like, he was worried because I was on so many depressants, so many downers, that he couldn't believe I was awake,
Wow.
And that really dawned on me that I've really got to get off this stuff. So it escalated me getting off of it. But the big thing, I got off that depression medicine, and I'm going to tell you what, I've never been happier in my whole daggone life. I don't know what's in that stuff. It'll make you feel better, like, you're not as depressed for a little while, and then they put you on a stronger dose when it's not working, and then it's one after the other. But I got off my depression medicine, and I am the happiest I've ever been, I think, since I was a kid.
Wow.
And I'm not saying that my journey is for everybody. I'm just saying that
everybody
this
has
is what
to
I've
do their
done.
own. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I've done, and it has worked. I can't even begin to tell you, Carla. You see it.
I've seen it. I've witnessed your spirit coming back, your aliveness, your zest for life, like everything all over. So you got off the alcohol, you're getting off all the prescriptions, and then is that when it started rippling to your body, like your weight?
Yeah, well, as I'm getting off all that stuff, I still have that goal. I still have him in the back of my head saying, you got to lose weight or I ain't going to work on you,
Right.
But it was like,
it was down the priority list at that time.
Yeah, well, I was feeling more energetic. I had more energy. I started that new job in September 21 at Smith and Nephew, where, I'm making replacement joints for human bodies, for God's sakes. I've had, my hips replaced. So it's like, how can God put you in such ironic situations? I've had hips replaced, and now I work for a company that makes them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel
so good.
I feel like I'm doing something good. I know that what I'm doing benefits people in their health so much. It made all the difference in me coming out of pain and starting to live life again to the fullest, not being on crutches after 3 years, I mean, like, it all just started to work, right?
Your life is literally waking up. I mean, it just,
and along the journey, I'm thinking I'm being more mindful about everything I do the more I wake up and get off these medicines. So I'm thinking, well, how can I get the weight off? And I'm thinking to myself, for 2 months, I was coming home from work and I was thinking, I need to go to the gym. I just need to go to the gym. And then I'm thinking, well, before I go to the gym, I need to do sit-ups and push-ups here on the floor in the house for 30 days. And then I know that I'm good to go get a membership. I couldn't even get off the couch to do sit-ups or push-ups to save my life for over 2 months. I kept telling myself, I got to do this. And then nothing ever became, right? So I said, you know what? That ain't working. So we're just going to escalate things. And I went down to the gym and I got a membership. And I thought, by God, we're going to put it into motion whether I want to or not. Because the whole push-ups on the floor at home ain't working, right?
Right.
So anyway, I ended up getting a gym membership, and it was about 2 days, I think, went by after I got it. I finally went in, and I wasn't wanting to, set records or anything like that. But I thought, if I could just get on the floor as big as I am and I put in the effort, something's bound to happen. And so I got down and I was able to do a whole whopping 8 sit-ups starting out. And so I thought, you know what? That's all I got now. That's all I have at the moment. So I did that. I started doing a little bench press and stuff, very lightweight, just to wake my muscles up and stuff and let them know, hey, we're gonna start activating you guys. And so I didn't really get sore, and that was what I was looking for. I didn't want to get sore and be like, man, it hurts so bad, I don't want to do it again. So I just kind of did that for 2 weeks. I did really, really lightweight, like the lightest on the machines. I wanted them to wake up. Anyway, so I started doing that, and as I'm going, I work third shift at Smith and Nephew, and anyway, so I've gotten out of my element about when to eat and when the proper times are and stuff like that. So I'm kind of in no man's land as far as my timing is concerned. I'm still used to days, but I'm working nights, and I'll work 4 hours and then I'll eat a sandwich. I would have like a turkey sandwich or something for lunch, and then I would go back to work. And when I got home, I was eating a meal, and then I was going to bed basically. So I started thinking, well, I'm not even hungry when I get home in the morning, but yet I'm eating, and that doesn't make sense. So why not eliminate the sandwich at lunchtime and then just eat when we get home? We'll start doing one meal a day, I guess, basically is what it ended up being. And so I started doing that, and I started losing weight. I couldn't even, it was crazy. I was losing 7 pounds in a week. Then some weeks I would lose 10 pounds. But after about every 20 to 25 pounds, my body would say, we're starving. We're going to hold on to anything that you eat as long as we can. And so I would plateau, and I would not lose any weight for about a week. And I'd start thinking, all right, we got to confuse the body. So I would start eating intervals different than the once a day. And I would do that for about 10 to 12 days and make my body think, okay, really, we're not starving. Everything's cool. We're back on track again. And after about 10 or 12 days, I would shut it down again, and I would go to one meal a day. And at that point, when the plateau would go away, I'd lose 20 pounds in a spurt of about 10 days to 2 weeks. And then it would start to do that whole plateau again. And I would have to confuse my body, make sure that it thinks that we're doing okay. And then I would shut it off again. Anyway, I lost 70 pounds in 1 year. Then I started implementing the workout schedule that started to get the gym membership and all that stuff. And I started lifting weights, and I lost another 40 pounds, probably in about 3 months, just by lifting weight. My breathing started getting better. The inhalers and all that stuff went away. I was on a CPAP machine. I no longer use it. I took it back.
Mm.
Uh, I'm off of all my blood pressure medicines, my atorvastatin for high triglycerides, and all the anxiety medicine, the Suboxone, the depression medicine. I don't take any of that stuff anymore. I take one one anti-inflammatory every other day, and I rarely eat a Tylenol or an Advil or anything like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit well with me anymore. But
Wow.
I still work out. I mean, and to say that I wasn't overdoing it is an understatement. I got so into going to the gym after seeing results that it hooked me. You know,
Yeah.
I like it. I
Yeah.
feel like if I have to take a day off, it's like, well, I know my body needs the rest. So I'm not as hard on myself about missing a day as I used to be, but it was all about finding my own groove with what I was doing and how to do it. Um, I I do things differently than most people in the gym. I do slow repetitions. I do a lot of negative resistance training. A lot of people are trying to, work out real fast and do this and that. And I take my time. I try not to hurt myself. I try to do good form, and I I try not to get ahead of myself. I've set goals of what I want to achieve, and these may be lifelong goals, but uh, as long as I can check a box here and there that, hey, I've done that, I got that, I got that, I got that. It's starting out small, sticking with the plan, trying to switch things up when you come to a roadblock. Be ready to bob and weave when you get in there. You might run into a roadblock, but make adjustments and get around it. Don't let
Yeah.
small things hang you up. Don't 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 get overwhelmed. Start small. Get the consistency. With consistency comes discipline. With discipline, the world is your oyster.
Mm. It's funny. I always like think of like self, in the world, it's like people talk about self-care and like it's always kind of bugged me, but what I really believe is self-care, like real self-care is self-discipline. And your story really, really speaks to that, man. Um, but I want to speak to something. So kind of a principle behind the conversations we have on this podcast and the work that I do with clients is really that a deep change in the way that you live requires a deep change in the way that you think. And Tim, like as you're telling this, your story and like this process, right? Like what a process. And I think it's such a good reminder for all of us that like really deep, important change in our life, it is a process. And it's not always linear or in one direction, right? Like it's very up and down. And it requires, like, as you tell your story, I'm like, he's challenging his thinking. You started questioning what you always believed and trying on something, right? Like, and you also always had your eye on something like your goal, or you knew there was something more possible, and you kept taking small steps. And there was, like you said, change over time, but then you would plateau, and then you had to kind of stir your thinking and stir your actions and change things up a little bit to go to the next level. And like, what it's just, it's incredible to listen to it and see like this type of change is available to us. And
It is.
like,
It totally is.
yeah, like what are like maybe one, two, or three things that you've hung on to through all of this that you would say were the biggest pillars that kept you in the
All right.
journey?
Well, I did personally a huge mental evaluation. And after I started waking up, I started looking for root causes of where I went wrong.
Mm.
Um, and it took me way back to like 21 years old. I narrowed everything down to a bad breakup that
Mm.
triggered me into a at the time I didn't consider it a I wouldn't say a depression, but an uncomfortableness that made me drink, to not remember those feelings,
Mm.
to never want to have that happen again. And I went the wrong way. I went into the drinking mode, and then it became the party mode, and then it just became me.
Mm.
But I believe that anybody who's struggling with depression, if they do a deep dive, I believe that they will figure out when they started to get depressed, and then they'll remember what triggered them and to spiral out of control, or you know what I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
always have that negative hitch in you, I guess, that little thing that always keeps your defenses up, in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I believe that through being mindful of where it all kind of went wrong, if you can isolate that and make amends with it,
Mm.
it'll change your life. And I
Yeah.
did. I went as far as to try to find the latest address to that girl's name that I knew, the best possible address that I could find, the latest one. I wrote a letter. I told her I was sorry, that everything that I had done was wrong with her, as far as not speaking to her again, and so forth and so on. And it lifted a burden. Uh,
Mm.
hell, I'd been carrying it around for what, 40 years, of
Yeah.
35 years, and to put a stamp on that and send that thing, oh man, that was
Mm.
joy.
Oh,
And
that
I
is
had no
so
idea, right?
beautiful.
I didn't know whether she'd get it, but I knew it was in God's hands. I knew that I had done everything that I could do to make amends with the situation that I felt uh, took my life and spiraled it out of control. But it took me to deep dive into it to really put a name and a face and a situation and all that of where things went wrong. And
Wow.
by putting a stamp on it and sending it, like I said, I don't know whether she got it. I don't know whatever happened
Yeah.
with it. I just know that I know that I did what I needed to do, and that God would take care of the rest. And He has, because I'm no longer burdened by that. I know that I thanked her for helping me get baptized and my first Bible, and I still
Mm.
have that Bible today.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow. Well, and that
kind
is
of
so
kind of
true.
crazy how our minds work, and that we think that everything's okay, but we're just putting a band-aid on something that needed addressed a long time ago. So if you can figure out what's ailing you, it will benefit you beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah, I call that like part of your survival model, but for all of us as humans, like somewhere along the way, we latch on to some idea or belief or just like you said, you did. And then we start living our life to kind of survive something or try to overcome something or avoid something or protect from something. And then we cut off all this living, right? And your story is like such a beautiful example of like letting that all fall away so that you can actually really live. Um, and not feel like you're living to survive, but you're living to create and build a life now. And I've watched you do it. It's been incredible to watch you. So to give people a snapshot of this transformation and what your life looks like today, because you've lost, how much weight have you lost overall?
Uh, since I was at my heaviest, I've lost basically what I weigh now, 160 pounds.
Wow. Like a whole body.
And yeah, well, I was in like a 46-inch waist, and now I'm in a 30.
Wow. Yeah, you guys, you're gonna see pictures here soon, but it's your transformation is incredible, and your
Well,
lifestyle has changed.
yeah, you know, I can honestly say that I had a, I hadn't, I'll be honest, I hadn't thought about going to church in years, and I'm out in the backyard. It's Sunday morning, and
Oh, I
I work
remember this.
nights. So I got off of work, I come home, I'm going to cut the yard, and most of my stuff is battery operated, like my weed eater blower and stuff like that, but the lawnmower's gas. But anyway, I'm using all my electric stuff, and all of a sudden, all the batteries died. And I'm like, well, all right, it's going to be probably 2 hours before I can continue this. And it wasn't the time that that thought hit my head. I heard, you have time to go to church.
Hmm.
And I thought, what was that? And I was looking around like I thought somebody had entered my yard. I didn't know. But I know that when I looked around, wasn't nobody there.
Hmm.
So I was kind of freaked out. I set down the weed eater and went inside, and Julie was on the couch. She said, everything all right? I said, yep, I'm going to church. And so I went back to the back and took a shower, and she said, God talking to you? And I said, yes, he is. So anyway, I went and took a shower and got all dressed for church and clothes that don't fit anymore and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm out. And I got on the phone. I looked at Bellevue Baptist Church. I looked at my old church where I got baptized, where that girl helped me get baptized. I don't know what time it starts, but well, it's 8:40. It starts at 9:15. There was the perfect amount of time that I heard the signal to go, to take a shower, get dressed, get in the car, look at the time. There was the perfect amount of time for me to get to that church. How that works, I don't know. So I went to
That's
church that day, and man, talk about powerful. I read the Bible all the time. I try not to let grass grow under my feet with that. And with the working out, with the Bible reading, with all of my journey, I know that what is above is below. So if you're good in your mind, you will be good in your soul, and your body will be good.
hmm.
What is above is below. Mind, body, and soul. If you don't pray, it's good for the soul. I highly recommend it.
So true. It makes me think, I can't remember if when you were here that I said this, but I recently saw somebody talking about the story in the Bible where Jesus heals the man at the pool. And he asks the man, like, do you want to be healed? And this woman, like, went back into like the original language, like the Hebrew, or I'm not sure what it was, but she found that, like, what Jesus was really asking was, are you willing to live differently? Because if you're healed, you're going to have to live differently. And that just really struck me.
Yeah, and there's truth to that. And I know firsthand because uh with with my back, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's like you're either healed and you leave it all behind, or you're not.
Hmm.
When you get baptized, you're supposed to leave it all in the water and begin new. But the thing that people fail to realize is you have to crucify yourself to this world every day, every morning when you wake up, so that you don't crave the worldly possessions that everybody on TV and everybody's always after. You need to be self-content and happy with where you are, what you have, and truly be thankful for what you have, not what you want. What you want is all fake. It's truly all fake. What is above is below. Get your mind right. Your heart will follow and your body will too. If you believe that you're healing, you're going to heal. My back, I have spinal stenosis and I hurt all the time, but I tell myself every day I'm healing because I am.
Yeah.
And it gets less painful and less painful with working with a professional chiropractor. He's got me to where I'm starting to know that my body is healing. And I was told that it wouldn't. But if you believe with all of your heart and your mind and your soul, your body will heal itself. I promise you that. And mine's doing it. I'm living proof. I no longer have all those medicines. You can't say that I needed a CPAP machine if I no longer need it. And I told myself I'm healing and my body is healing. I no longer need all that stuff because my body is healing because I tell myself I'm healing.
It's so beautiful.
And I believe God. I believe God that He made a magnificent body. It is perfect. Just believe that it is, and it will be.
So good. Okay, Tim. So this journey and story led you to finding this contest. So bring us up to speed about this contest that you're in so we can share.
Oh my gosh, this is just it's beyond me. That's all I can say. In a million years, I never figured that I would be entered or would have entered a contest to be in a muscle and fitness magazine. After being as big as I was for as long as I was, it's still baffling to me. I literally, I had a friend at work. I told him, hey man, he's an ex-bodybuilder. He's 60 years old. I said, hey man, you're in great shape. You ought to enter this contest. You know, it's worth $20,000. And he says, oh, they don't want me. And I was like, what do you mean, man? You're in perfect shape. You know, all that stuff. He was Mr. UT Martin back in 77 or something. You know, I mean, like this guy knows what's up. Anyway, he's like, they're not looking for me, man. He goes, you're the one that needs to enter it. He goes, you got a story. And he said, and the whole thing's just kind of crazy.
Wow.
And the thing that triggered me was he says, you ain't got nothing to lose.
I love
and man,
that
stuck with me. That stuck with me for the
wow.
next 4 hours. 4 hours at work. I was thinking, you know what? He's got a point.
He's right.
I really don't have anything to lose. And I could really use the $20,000 if you know what I'm saying. So
yeah.
I was like, well, you know what? That morning I went home and I started filling out their little thing. And
I think you texted it to me that day.
Yeah. I even told Shane about it. I was like, Shane, you need to enter. He goes, I already did. I was like, what? And you didn't tell me?
Shane's our son, by the way.
I entered it. And within 24 hours, they had emailed me back saying, you are totally in this contest. And so it's been really fun. We've had so much fun, and
so
honestly,
much fun.
I'm just trying to get the word out there that asking for help when you have alcohol or drug addiction, it is not a weakness. It's like the strongest form of self-love and that you could ever show yourself or others, and it's an inspiring thing to transform yourself into what you want to be, even if you weren't sure what you wanted it to be. Like I said, just be willing to make changes. Don't be so steadfast in your journey that it's just got to be that way. You're going to run into roadblocks.
Expect them,
Just make
right?
sure that it's inevitable, but just be patient, make adjustments, get around your little obstacle that you think is so big and great. It's usually not. You make it bigger than what it is. The the highest mountain you'll ever have to climb is the one you create in your own head.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Wow. Yeah.
And if you can find people who have transformed, bust their chops, ask them questions, ask them
Mm,
what makes them tick, and they'll be happy to share what works for them. It may not be exactly what you need, but it worked for them. Just listen and, like I said, make adjustments.
yeah.
When you run into your little roadblocks, make adjustments, and it'll happen. Just set reasonable goals.
Mm. So what I'm excited about this contest because I do feel like Tim, like this contest, and if you won this contest, that it would give you a chance to share your story more and be like just be an inspiration for people that are wanting to create similar, changes in their own life. And I'm excited for that reason. But what like would knock your socks off about like winning this contest? And
Well,
I think you've already
just,
won,
just,
right? You've even
I
said
mean,
that. Like you've already
literally,
won.
yeah, just by them accepting me and allowing me to be in the competition, I'm thrilled. I mean, I've already
That
won. Look at
that in and of
look at
itself
where I
has had a
came from,
huge
and
impact on you.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's good to know that all of this hard work isn't in vain. That I might be able to use my transformation to help others, and that's what I want to do. I really want to help people who are struggling, whether it's drugs or alcohol or just some type of a problem. Um,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is I want to get the word out there about the drugs and alcohol. It's not a weakness. It's so strong, and we're all proud of you if you try. That's all I can say. And there's strength in numbers. By God, is there strength in numbers, man.
Mm.
So if you find like-minded people, you will excel. You just have to open your eyes and see the opportunities in front of you and seize them as they happen.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, so for someone listening who wants to see your pictures and your story and take a look at the contest and cast a vote, um, where do they go? And then we'll put all these links in the show notes too. And the contest is ending. If you're listening live to this podcast, it's ending tonight. At what time, Tim?
9 p.m. Pacific.
9 p.m. Pacific. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't wait to go make your vote. And Tim, where do they go?
They're going to go to. I'm trying to pull up the link.
That's good.
I will read off the link. It is https semicolon // MRHEALTHANDFIT.com /2026 TIM dash MCCORMICK.
And that's
And
mrhealthandfit.com /26. And then Tim's name.
that'll take you straight to my profile, and it should be able to allow you to vote. The contest for free votes is for Facebook members only, unfortunately. But you are able to vote every 24 hours, and I need every vote I can get. So please help.
Yeah.
Donations
Go ahead. That's what I
donations
was going to.
can be made. Yeah, donations can be made, and depending on the dollar amount as to how many votes I get, But they are going to go to the Be Positive Foundation, which helps fight childhood cancer. And they also do a lot of research, but they also help fund families that are in need of monetary to help with the cancer treatments and so forth. So it's all for a good cause, one way or another. I hope to get my word out there that there's strength in numbers, and recovery is no joke, man. It'll change your life.
So good. And do you have to be on Facebook to make a donation too? You have to be on Facebook, is that right?
You do not have to be on Facebook in order to make a donation. The donation type thing is separate.
But will it
from what
cast
I
votes for
understand.
you too? Yeah.
It'll cast votes, yeah. Even though
Okay.
you're not logged into Facebook, if you donate, it automatically gets registered, and the votes come to me.
Okay. So we would love your votes if you've been inspired by Tim's story. And Tim, can they follow your story on Instagram or anywhere else?
They can. I don't have much on Instagram. Most of my stuff is Facebook, but I'm trying to learn Instagram and be more visible on there.
Yeah, I think your story could be on there too. Okay, so I will include any and all links in the show notes so you can go check all of that out. Um, Tim, I have one last question for you. What
Sure.
does differently mean to you?
Oh, differently to me is probably the way I live my life now. Differently means to put all of your programming aside, the stuff meaning that the stuff you've learned and the stuff that's not working for you, put that stuff aside and do things differently. No matter what it is, make changes. If it's not working, make adjustments, do something different. Put that first step. Make that first step. Quit saying tomorrow. Let it be today. Let it be now. Put your words into action. Get on the court instead of sitting in the stands watching life happen. Get on the court and make it happen for yourself. Differently.
That's so beautiful, my friend. I just want to thank you for sharing your story. I'm honored to share your story. And I'm just so grateful for you, man. I love you. And I thank you for being just a constant, steadfast friend in our life for so many years.
Well, it's my honor. And I love you guys to death. You know that. I'll do anything for you guys. And if anybody needs help, you can get in touch with Carla, and Carla can get in touch with me, and I can try to help friends, family, loved ones, whoever's struggling.
That's so good. So take him up on this. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with Tim and I. And make sure you go cast your vote and watch his journey. All right. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you, guys.